Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all North and South Carolina students, sponsored by the Carolinas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers and StriveScan. We appreciate you joining us today. A few housekeeping announcements before we get underway. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your question to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone have both been turned off, so our presenters cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions that will be happening this month. So be sure to check out the full schedule at CACRAO.org. That's CACRAO.org. This presentation is being recorded, and in about 1 week will be made available on that same website for on-demand viewing. Again, that's CACRAO.org. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenters.
Thank you so much. So on behalf of all of my fellow panelists, we appreciate all of you joining today and learning a little bit more about all the awesome opportunities there are to attend college or university in the state of Georgia. I'm going to be pulling up a presentation that myself and my fellow colleagues will be walking you through today. But as we're pulling that up, please note that we're going to be answering your questions at the end of the presentation. So as you pop those into the chat box, just know we're not missing those. We're going to address them as a team at the end, and our final slide will have all of our contact information. So if you do have individual questions following this presentation, please feel free to follow up with any of us. But to get us started, what we are going to do is we're each going to take just a quick minute to introduce ourselves and the colleges that we represent so that you have an idea of who is speaking with you today. So I have the pleasure of getting us started. My name is Melissa Barger. I serve as the Associate Director of Admissions at Georgia College, located in Milledgeville, Georgia. We are known as Georgia's designated public liberal arts university, and we have just over 6,000 undergraduates and just under 8,000 students altogether with our graduate school population. Many of our students do come to us for that residential living experience. You'll see behind me that beautiful old red brick antebellum architecture. It's kind of like you stepped onto a movie set when you come into the university setting for us in the city of Milledgeville. We're also located in what is called Lake Country. So we are surrounded by 3 beautiful lakes, Lake Sinclair being the largest. So our scenery is beautiful. Our community is one that really supports all of our students and all those different diversity of thoughts, and we would love for you to come and visit. But at this moment, I'm going to pass it off to my colleague Adam at Mercer University.
Thank you so much. So my name is Adam Shilawat. I am an admissions counselor at Mercer University. You can see it behind me. I am not this hype in the air. It is a virtual background. But Mercer University, we are a small private liberal arts college located smack in the middle of Georgia in the city of Macon. If you know where Atlanta, Georgia is at, it's about 1 hour and 15 south of there. So if you have pretty much a map of Georgia and you poke it in the middle, there we are. We have over 65 undergraduate majors, a couple of new ones coming in this year, like cybersecurity, kinesiology, really big on engineering, any kind of STEM undergraduate research from freshman year all the way up to senior year, 4-year journalism program, the whole shebang with academics. Outside of that, we have 140 clubs and organizations, a lot of things to do here on campus constantly because you're a person too, not just a student. So a lot of ways to get involved here, and you'll see that with a lot of the presenters about their universities that they're talking about today. I will go ahead and also pass it off to my colleague, Mandy. Mandy, I think you're still muted.
Hi, sorry about that. I'm Mandy Letzig. I'm a freshman admissions counselor here at the College of Coastal Georgia. We have the distinction, we are the newest of the state colleges here in Georgia. Our first 4-year bachelor students graduated in 2013, which means very young, very fresh, very exciting programs. We are called Coastal because we are about 7 miles away from the beach, which means our students get to study in a beautiful location, but we have a great location-based programs as well. As far as location, we're about 1 hour north of the Florida border, so we're very close to those Florida beaches as well. We're about 1 hour south of Savannah. So we're not too far away from some places in South Carolina, but we still have that nice South Georgia feel. So I'll hand it over to Michael.
Hi, Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Michael Vanham. I'm an admissions counselor here at Georgia State University. We are located in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, with campus locations around Metro Atlanta as well. Through our two-year side called Georgia State Perimeter College, we are one of the nation's fastest growing research universities with over 53,000 students enrolled in several top-ranked programs nationally. I look forward to talking more about Georgia State and talking about more about everything is Peachy along with my colleagues. But I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Stephen at Georgia Southern.
Hey everyone, my name is Stephen Warner and I'm the Assistant Director for Freshman Admissions at Georgia Southern University. We are a school of 3 campuses, one in Statesboro, Georgia, one in Savannah, Georgia, and one in Hinesville, Georgia. So with all 3 campuses, we have nearly about 26,000 students, spanning all 3 campuses, with Statesboro being our largest campus with right around 20,000 students. Our Armstrong campus is just under 6,000 students. And then our Liberty campus is a single building, non-residential campus with about 500 students. So it's exciting that we have opportunities for students to really pick the best fit campus for themselves with different academic opportunities and different majors spread out throughout all 3 campuses. So excited to be here. I'm going to pass it off to Daniel.
Awesome. Thank you. So my name is Daniel Browning, and I'm an admissions counselor over here at Augusta University. And we are a 4-year research institution, over 159 programs of study. I like to say that we're close to everything here in Augusta, Georgia. We're about 2 hours to Charlotte, Savannah, Greenville, Atlanta. So it's a nice little location for you. We have an undergrad enrollment of about 5,600. And yeah, so we're excited to share a little bit more about us with you all and with my colleagues. I'll pass it back over to Melissa.
All right, so here in this slide, we're actually going to talk a little bit more about our types of institutions that you all can actually attend here in the state of Georgia. And we just got a brief glimpse of some of the institutions that you already have been introduced to, but there are several other types of institutions you can actually choose to apply for. So of course, we kind of broken these down with 3 different areas. We have public universities, private colleges, and technical colleges. So public universities are state-funded institutions, or at least state-supported institutions, and they are composed here in Georgia with 26 public colleges. So we do encourage you, if you're interested in going to a state public institution, you can research those by going to usg.edu, and you can learn more about all the types of institutions that are available for you. And these range from different types of programs, from the bachelor's level all the way through the graduate and PhD professional level as well. There are several private colleges also in the state of Georgia you can consider applying for. Right now, there's about 33 nonprofit private institutions, and feel free to do your research if you're interested in going to a private school to gain your education. You can also complete similar programs to the bachelor's to the graduate level. There's also technical colleges here in Georgia. So those who are familiar with the technical colleges, these are career-ready programs that are really geared around training you for a specific type of field and an industry to be work ready. If you're interested in learning more about those, you can actually go to the technical college website, specifically at tcsg.edu to learn more. All right, but at this point in time, I'm going to kind of hand it over to our next colleague, who will talk more about where we are located and how close you are here to attend institutions in Georgia.
Perfect. Thanks, Michael. So for all of you in North Carolina and South Carolina, many students are pretty envious because you have the ability to not just fly with a quick 45-minute flight to any of our campuses, but you are able to drive, making it super easy to get back and forth for visits. And of course, when it comes to attending college, you're able to load up that car with all of your things for your residential hall and get moved in. And all of the colleges represented here today are in a very close proximity for you when it comes to visiting campus. So we wanted to give you a good idea as to the ranges from some major cities in South Carolina and North Carolina to all of us here in the state of Georgia. So particularly for my South Carolina residents, those looking at the Greenville, Columbia, Charleston area, every single college here is pretty much within a 3 to 4 hour drive. Augusta University is actually a little bit closer, as Daniel Browning mentioned earlier, but you can hit any of our schools within a 3 to 4 hour driving distance. For our North Carolina residents, Charlotte and Raleigh are big feeders for us. We see a lot of applications, so we appreciate that from all of you. And within that, the drive from Charlotte for all of us is typically going to be 4 to 5 hours. For those students that reside in the Raleigh metropolitan area, it's going to be a 6 to 7 hour car ride. So a little bit longer, but easily doable within a day, especially if you want to make a great weekend or just prolong your weekend and stay during part of the weekday to visit our campuses. We will talk about campus visit opportunities later in this presentation, but just to note that if you're interested in visiting several of the institutions that are speaking during today's session, we are all very much within a 1 to 2 hour drive of each other. Some of us are as close as 30 minutes. So we would love to see your smiling faces and meet your families as you continue on your college journey. And with that, I'm going to pass us off to our next slide. Daniel, you want to take it away?
Absolutely. Thank you, Melissa. So one of the, I guess we can say barriers, right, that many students seem to think they face when crossing state lines is the cost of crossing those state lines. And so we want to talk a little bit about the affordability of crossing over into Georgia and just talk a little bit about each of us and the things that we can offer to offset that cost. So starting with Georgia College, by applying before October 15th, you'll have opportunities at merit scholarships that can definitely help make that affordable. And then to go even further, if you're over a 3.59 GPA, you're automatically receiving in-state tuition. So I think that's awesome there. Here at Augusta University, we offer the border state waiver. We've extended that to the whole entire state there. And we also have what we call our presidential out of state for anything outside of South Carolina. But we do offer those border state waivers for all those in South Carolina, as well as Georgia Southern, offering the border state waivers. Coastal Georgia also offering the border waiver for South Carolina schools. Mercer has merit-based scholarships as well. And Georgia State as well, offering opportunities for merit-based scholarships as well. And so all of that to say, there are many different opportunities to offset that cost and to hopefully make that cheaper. And one thing that we would like to mention as well is that it is important when you get those in-state scholarships because you want to use them. But something that we have actually discovered is that even when you utilize those in-state scholarships for some of these larger institutions in South Carolina, we have all discovered that we are almost the same cost, if not cheaper in many of those cases when you include other things like living on campus and tuition. So we do want to extend that to you to know that it is affordable and we would love for you to take a look at the options that we have here in the state of Georgia. Awesome. So I'm going to pass it over to our next colleague.
Thanks, Daniel. So we're all going to take a quick moment to just share a couple unique academic programs or opportunities that you can take a hold of at each of our institutions, as that is going to be a big choice for all of you when you're looking at where you want to apply, what really sticks out, what's going to be the right fit for you. So on behalf of Georgia College, we are known across the nation for what's called our Georgia College, or GC, as we like to refer to it, Journeys program. And within our GC Journeys program, every single student has an online portfolio that they are completing along with their academic advisor across their 4 years, where they are completing a minimum of 5 transformative experiences. What that really means is that you are taking your learning inside the classroom and applying it to the outside world, whether that is through study abroad, learning a different leadership certificate, working with CFOs and CEOs throughout the state of Georgia to help mentor you in your area of study, doing undergraduate research with a professor starting freshman year. Really, the sky is the limit, but that is something that a lot of students look to come to Georgia College to take advantage of. It's not adding extra work to your plate of all that homework, right, that comes with your college courses. This is just something to enhance your experience that is built into your curriculum. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Adam over at Mercer.
Cool. Thanks so much. So one key program that I always mention to students that is very unique to Mercer is we have a couple of different things. The first one I want to talk about very briefly is called Mercer on Mission. So Mercer on Mission, the acronym is MOM, if you have a hard time remembering it. But what it does is if you're interested in service, but you also have an interest in research, and then you also like study abroad opportunities, this Mercer on Mission program combines all three of those things together. And so what you do is you're using undergraduate research that's done here at our Macon campus, and then you're applying it to a real world need abroad. So what that looks like, for one example, is our biomedical engineers do undergraduate research here in prosthetics. They have developed a universal socket for amputee victims in Vietnam. They assemble the prosthetics here, they break them down here, they ship them over to Vietnam as students, they take the trip with the professor, Dr. Vo, and they assemble the prosthetics on site, and then they can also fit amputee victims with the prosthetic limbs. And so that's a really cool program that we don't only have for biomedical engineers. We've done water purification, mercury trapping systems, business trips, education trips, a lot of different kinds. So all that to say that research is available here at the Macon campus as well, but it doesn't just have to stay here, right? It can be applied to a real world need. You're going to get experience with what you want to study in the field of research, but also in a couple of other academic programs as well, such as our Center for Collaborative Journalism, which gives students 4 years of professional experience in the field of journalism or media studies, working in, radio, writing, videography, sports broadcasting, etc. So if that's something that really interests you, we have a variety of different programs to where students can get involved starting freshman year and then continue that all the way through the rest of their 4. So that's a little bit about us with our academic programs. I will now send it to Mandy.
Hi. So at the College of Coastal Georgia, obviously we're in a very unique location here on the coast. So we use that to benefit both our students outside the classroom, but inside the classroom as well. So we have a lot of location-based programs, things like coastal ecology, environmental science, where you're doing active labs from your freshman year on, really getting to work with those sea turtles and all of those kind of things that you can't get other places. It also means because we're in such a unique location here in the coast, it's a great community and we try to give back as much as possible. We encourage service learning, not just in some classrooms, but actually across the entire academic year. Most of our programs, including nursing and business, will actually have a service learning capstone, which is where you're taking all of that academic knowledge that you've learned over 4 years and you're actually making a community-based project. Our nursing students do everything from flu shots to COVID screenings to really helping out our local community as a way to kind of give back to all the support they've given us as a college. We want our students to be good service people moving forward. So I'll hand it over to Steva now.
Awesome, thank you so much. So when we decided to talk about different majors and programs, I was like, man, where do I start? There's, so many to choose from. All of us have amazing programming at all of our schools. And then Madeline kind of made up my mind for me with her question in here. And so Madeline, for you specifically, we do have fashion merchandising and fashion design at Georgia Southern University on our Statesboro campus. So it's a really hands-on program where students are designing clothing. If they're in the design part, they're designing clothing for our theater department so that they can have amazing costumes for their shows. We've had people go on to do really big things in the fashion world, and if they've moved up to New York or wherever, and so it's a really exciting program that is fairly unique. I know there's not a lot of schools in South Carolina that offer that, so we're excited to have both fashion merchandising and fashion design at Georgia Southern. Merchandising will be more the business side of fashion, and then design is obviously the creation of fashion, and so you get a little bit of both within the emphasis that you choose. So if you go the design route, you're still going to learn about the merchandising side and the business side of things, and if you go the merchandising route, they'll still give you some experience in the design side of things. So Madeline, thank you for that question. And Georgia Southern definitely does have fashion merchandising and fashion design here. So I appreciate you asking that question. So I'm going to pass it off to Michael at Georgia State.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Here at Georgia State University, I mentioned before, we are in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia. We do offer the most programs for a university in the state of Georgia. We offer over 250 degree programs from the undergraduate all the way through the graduate level. And each of our programs are housed under colleges. So I'm just kind of going to list them out. We have our Andrew Young School of Policy Studies. We have our Honors College. We have our Bernard F. Lewis College of Nursing. We have a College of Education and Human Development. We have a School of Public Health. We have the College of Arts and the College of Arts and Sciences, the College of Law, as well as Perimeter College, and the J. Mac Robinson College of Business. So all of those colleges and schools make up our 250 degree programs. Some unique programs I personally like to mention for students. We have the Institute for Biomedical Sciences for people that want to study biomedical, as well as we have the Creative Media Industries Institute, CMII for short, that really caters to the film and media industry in Atlanta. And there's several production studios that we have a partnership as well with the Georgia Film Academy. So there's a lot of unique programs that we do have, as well as just general programs as well. If you're interested in starting at our Atlanta campus, or if you start at Perimeter College as well, it doesn't matter where you start. At the end of the day, you're gonna earn a fantastic degree. And we really try to connect our students to opportunities in Atlanta because we're within walking distance to several Fortune 500 companies, nonprofit organizations, tech startups, just a lot of opportunities. So we try to connect students to all that through our career services and internship opportunities. So but yeah, that's pretty much kind of a good summary of some of our programs. We do encourage you to research if you're interested in more about specific programs that we do have. You can go on our website, go to gsu.edu, and under our academics area, you can search all of our degree programs that we offer. But I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over here to Augusta and my colleague, Daniel.
Awesome, thank you, Michael. Yeah, so just to go over a few things here at Augusta that I think really sets us apart a little bit. We are actually home to the state's only public medical and dental school. So we are home to the Medical College of Georgia and the Dental College of Georgia. And then recently we've kind of been dubbed the Cyber Center of the Southeast. So we're doing a lot of great things on the cyber things with our new cyber campus. And within that campus, we actually have a lot of private sectors that are working in the same building with our students, which I think is a really cool opportunity for the students. So NSA, GBI, the military, they've added a few new sectors as well, are actually working in that same building with our computer science and cyber students as they learn. It's a very collaborative center, which I think is great. But some of our top majors is obviously geared towards the health science side of things. As you know, we are home to MCG and DCG, but biology, nursing, kinesiology, business, computer science, and dental hygiene. And then one more thing to add, we do have some pathway programs that have become very popular and competitive. We have our BSMD and DMD program, which is basically your 7-year program, is also known as, it's a straight path to your medical and dental college. And we also have something similar for nursing students as well. We have our Nursing Scholars Program, and we have an accelerated BSN program as well. So very heavy on the health science thing, but you can't forget about the liberal arts. So I always like to say we have a little bit of everything. But that's where we stand as Augusta University. So I will go ahead and pass this over to the next colleague.
Hi, so these are some quick application tips. So we're going to talk about different types of applications, as well as how to apply to specific colleges that we all work for. So first off is the Georgia Futures application. So within the state of Georgia, we have a website that's created by Georgia Student Finance, and it hosts links to applications for public schools, private schools, as well as technical colleges. It's also Georgia Student Finance, so it's a really great resource if you just have questions about the FAFSA, if you want to see a glossary of kind of terms. So even if you're not sure if you're going to be attending school in Georgia, it's free to create an account, and you can also just go on and just see what's the difference between a loan and a grant, and I just have what is the specific word and why does my college need this before it'll give me, you know, how much my expected income is going to be. So Georgia Futures hosts applications and also is a resource for seniors as well as juniors, sophomores, all the way to freshmen who are still in high school. So no matter where you are in the kind of admissions link, you can find something on Georgia Futures. So there's also the Common Application, which I'm going to let Adam talk a little bit more about because it's actually what is used at Mercer.
Sure. Thanks so much. So the Common App is something when I speak to out-of-state students, they're very familiar with. In layman's terms, it is a very convenient way of applying to multiple colleges at once. So what the Common App does is it takes information that you have, and then you can use it to apply to a variety of different schools. So if you have an interest in any of these schools that are listed in this panel, feel free to reach out to us and see kind of what our application style is and what we offer. For us at Mercer University, as Mandy mentioned, we do offer Common App, so you can apply to us as well as other schools that you're interested in. We know they exist. Why not make it a little easier for you? But if you want to be a little more particular with your application, you can also use our own in-house application software called the Mercer application. Both of them are on our website. For us, we have no preference on which you use. We just really would prefer you to do it. And so a little bit going down a little bit more on this in the test optional policies. This is something that I really encourage y'all to check with your colleges about. So we know that with this year, testing has become a little hard to find. They might be getting, rescheduled, they might be getting canceled, and I understand that creates a lot of frustration with students. So reach out to our specific colleges. I know for us at Mercer, we are going test optional the next 3 years. So this doesn't just apply to you seniors, but also you juniors and sophomores as well. Definitely want to let y'all know that. And everybody might also be doing it differently. So just because a school is test optional does not mean everybody's going to do test optional the same way. So reach out to us, see what our specific application style is, what software we use, and we're happy to give you any really tips and tricks on how to do that. My kind of really just quick tip on it is just show us who you are. Don't feel like you have to fake it or be someone you're not when you're writing your personal statement, when you're putting your activities and everything in there. Be honest. These colleges want to get to know you, especially if they take a holistic review at that application process. And what a holistic review process consists of is it's something we do here at Mercer. And so, for example, when we're reviewing applications, we don't just look at your GPA or your test scores if you send them in, right? We look at a little bit of everything. We want to get to know you as a person, not just as a number, and we want to be able to see you through your application. So when you're writing your personal statement, maybe telling us what happened and then why it affected you. When you're talking about your activities and distinctions, don't just say, I was in Beta Club. Say what you did in Beta Club. Say what you did at your part-time job. Let us get to know you through that application because it does have a big impact on when your admissions committees are reviewing it. So that's what holistic review is. It's not just taking the quantitative things into account, but it's also taking the qualitative things as well. So that's what holistic review is. Like I said, reach out to your specific colleges that you're interested in and see what their test optional policy is, if they have one, and then also see if they're a member of the Common Application. And then it's okay to also ask them, what do you look for in an application? It's a very good question to ask your counselors, and we're happy to share that with you. But I will go ahead and pass it off to our next colleague.
One of the most important things is always visiting, and in this in this year, it's obviously going to look a little bit differently. Some of you might not be able to visit or get out of school or might not feel safe enough, and that's okay. We want you to still engage with us and learn everything there is about our different campuses, but we have lots of visit opportunities. As it was talked about earlier, some of our campuses are not as far as you think, and we're all within an easy drive from your different locations. And so with Georgia Southern, we are doing in-person, very small, limited tours Monday through Friday on our Statesboro and Armstrong campuses. We do have virtual tours on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then this year we are going virtual with our open houses. So instead of trying to do social distancing and limit the amount of people that can attend, we decided to go virtual to allow for as many people as possible to be able to join in this Zoom environment. For Mercer, they are doing on-campus visits Monday through Friday, limiting just one guest per student. They have 4 different times that students are able to visit to ensure social distancing and smaller groups. They also will have Saturday events on campus. They will also be doing virtual campus tours Monday through Friday, and on their website we'll have all the details on how to register. When it comes to Augusta, Augusta is doing something very similar. They're doing Monday through Friday on-campus visits at 10 and 2, Saturday events on campus, and then they are doing virtual events as well. So virtual campus tours every day, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. For Coastal, College of Coastal Georgia, they are doing all in-person and virtual events are on the website, so you can start registering for those. They're doing every weekday for one family at a time. They're doing tours, so they're doing very limited capacity to ensure social distancing and giving you guys a very VIP experience. They will have 2 open houses this fall and 2 in the spring. And then there are virtual tour and virtual admissions presentations available during the week at 11 a.m. Now, Georgia State is the only one right now from our panel that is not doing in person. They are only offering virtual, but they are doing those all the time. So they are still very flexible with that so that you can still get the full Georgia State experience through that virtual format. And you can visit welcome.gsu.edu to attend their virtual events. And then finally, we have Georgia College. And so Georgia College is also offering on-campus tours Monday through Saturday, and then virtual information sessions Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then for seniors, they're doing Fall Fest, which is a senior-only special event on October 17th. So I know that was a lot. You probably didn't or won't remember all of the details. So all that to say, visit our websites. We are going to try and keep all of our websites as updated and detailed as possible so you know all the guidelines and safety precautions that we're taking if you do visit campus. And if you don't feel comfortable or aren't able to come to us in person, we all have some great virtual options to ensure you can get the most out of sitting in your living room or being in school while still being able to learn all about these great Georgia institutions. So we really hope to see you either on campus or on a future Zoom call here soon. And that's really all that we have. Here's all of our contact information for y'all. But any closing thoughts from any of my colleagues here before we open it up to Q&A?
Well, as students are asking questions, would all of us like to quickly go through how we're handling the test optional policy this year? So our lovely group of students and those that will be watching this recording are up to speed for at least the fall 2021 application cycle.
Sure thing. I'll go first for us at Mercer. For us at Mercer University, our test optional policy is not too much different from our in-test policy. So if you send in test scores or if you don't, if you want to apply as a test optional student, you're welcome to do so. You'll just click that box on your application once you submit it to us. Once you apply as a test optional student, we will not look at your test scores. Even if you send them in, we cannot take them into account because you're applying as a test optional student. So what other things we're going to be looking at, and I kind of mentioned this a little more in that holistic review point, is we do it holistically. So we really need to see what it is that you're doing inside the classroom, outside of the classroom. And that can be anything from a club or organization you're involved in, to a sport you play, to maybe you help babysit your friends, or maybe not your friends, that'd be kind of fun. Babysit your siblings if you have younger siblings, help out with the house if your family needs that kind of help. A lot of different things can go into your application to tell us about you. And a lot of these things can be considered service. They can be considered parts of leadership. These are all things that you may not think about at first, but really are taken into account when we're looking at an application. So put everything that you're involved in on there, explain to us what you're doing in that. And then with your personal statement, be sure to fill it out to your best of your ability. And the only difference kind of quantitatively with a test optional student versus a not is that for test optional students, we require 2 academic letters of recommendation instead of 1. And then we also have another short answer, 150-word question that is supplemental on the application for you to fill out. And so since we don't have your test scores, we need a little bit more to get to know you. So those academic letters of rec are important, as well as getting to know you holistically as a person through your application. So that's how we're doing it at Mercer. And if you have any other questions, there's my contact information. Feel free to let me know.
Thanks, Adam. And I'll jump in quickly on Georgia College, just so Adam and I don't have to repeat ourselves so much, as Georgia College has historically had a holistic review application process, just like Mercer, where we take into consideration your activities, your essays that are a part of your application, demonstrated interest. So just the fact that you have been watching this presentation today will actually help your application review process, along with that resume of activities that you might include or letters of recommendation on your application. In terms of the fall 2021 cycle, we are test optional for students applying, not only in the application cycle itself, but also for those that are interested in applying for a merit scholarship. As Daniel mentioned earlier, students that are interested in receiving a merit scholarship for us need to apply by our early action time period, which is October 15th. But if you are not looking to receive a competitive merit scholarship, but are just looking to receive in-state tuition, you can apply at any point through the admissions cycle all the way through April 1st. And then if you want to take advantage of our honors college on campus, we are also test optional. So pretty much if you don't want to sit for the exam, you sat for the exam but weren't happy with your test scores, or you just want to save the money, we're happy to review your application without any test scores, and we plan on that being the most popular option this year in the review process. And from that, I will pass it on to Stephen to talk about their application process.
Awesome, thank you. So at Georgia Southern, we are test optional, but we go based off the guidelines that are set by the University System of Georgia. So they said that for our tier, that we're able to do a 2.6 GPA and higher. So if you have a 2.6 GPA or above, we do not need test scores and we'll be able to get you admitted. If you're between a 2.5 to a 2.59 GPA, we will be looking for SAT or ACT scores to be admitted. But we can accept test scores throughout the entire year, as well as updated transcripts. So if you're at a 2.59, you're super close, and with midterm grades, you can get that up to a 2.6, send that in, and then you won't have to send in SAT or ACT scores. Now, on the flip side, when we're looking at scholarships or the honors college or anything like that, we are actually going to be test blind. So we're not going to look at test scores. We're not going to require test scores. We're going to be doing a holistic review of your involvement in the community, your rigor of curriculum, your essays that you write, things of that nature. But we actually won't be taking into consideration SAT or ACT scores, because we know you guys are going through a lot this year and don't want to judge if you can only take the SAT or ACT one time in a global pandemic. So we will not be considering scores for scholarships or honors. And then for the border state waiver, we're able to give in-state tuition to North and South Carolina residents. That is not a competitive process. It is not a scholarship. It's just a fill out a form. And as long as you can show us that you are a resident of North or South Carolina, and as long as you're admitted to Georgia Southern, you will get in-state tuition on any of our 3 campuses. So really excited about that and hope that you will go through that process with Georgia Southern, as well as the other schools that are border state waiver schools. But Michael, if you want to talk about Georgia State and y'all's process.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Here at Georgia State, we make merit-based admissions decisions. So when it comes to us making a decision, we're only looking at right now your core high school GPA, because we are test optional for the fall 2021 cycle, okay? So it's just that core GPA. Middle 50 percentile averages of our freshman class this past year had core high school GPAs between a 3.3 to a 3.86 GPA or higher, okay? So about 25% of our students had GPAs below a 3.3, and then 25% of our students had GPAs above a 3.86. When it comes to our honors college and scholarships, that's going to be more in holistic review. So it's not just looking at your GPA, but of course looking at your essay. So we do not recommend, or we do not require you to submit a common application essay. However, to best be considered for some of our scholarships, and just to have an extra data point when we are reviewing your file for our early consideration deadline, which is December 8th, we do just recommend to submit or at least include an essay on the Common App, as that will help as well. But at the end of the day, we're not going to penalize a student for not submitting SAT or ACT test scores, or if you do submit test scores, we're not going to penalize you to make that admissions decision. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and pass it on over to Augusta, and then we'll move forward from there.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. So yeah, just a little bit about what we're looking at this year. We are not currently requiring test scores for admission. We're kind of approaching this at two different categories here. So if you are going to submit your test scores, we will absolutely take those, and we will essentially evaluate your application based on how we've always done it with our freshman index requirements. And so if you feel like maybe your GPA is going to be a little bit lower, or vice versa, and you think that it's going to help your case, absolutely send your test scores. We're glad to take those and to consider those. Should you not submit your test scores, as I mentioned, we are not requiring them now, and we are not requiring them for fall, summer, and spring of 2021. That requirement is now a 3.0 GPA. And so again, if you do feel like your GPA might be a little bit lower, then definitely submit your test scores and we'll consider that. That does not include the requirements for specialty programs. So for an example, the BSMD, DMD, or our Scholars Program, or again, as some know it as the 7-year program, that is still requiring test scores. So if you are looking to apply to those programs, you will need to submit those test scores along with other documentation. And as my colleague from Georgia Southern mentioned, we do have the border waiver as well. It is not technically a scholarship, it is a waiver. It is just based on your residence. So as long as everything checks out and you are a resident of South Carolina, then you will receive in-state tuition with us. So I think that's it. I'll pass it over to whoever's next.
So for the College of Coastal Georgia, we're also test optional. So every single school here, also all of the public schools in the state of Georgia are test optional for fall. So if you're looking at any of the other ones, they are test optional. Here at the College of Coastal Georgia, we are an access institution, which means we're a little bit more flexible as far as student requirements. So we have always accepted, for the past 2 years, we've been able to accept the AccuPlacer for entrance exams as well, which is something that our dual enrollment students here in South Georgia use a lot. So we've been able to use that instead of national tests. So not only will you not need to turn in test scores, but then if you do, for some reason, because your GPA is a little bit lower, if you do get put into a support class and you feel like you can test out of that, you will be able to take the AccuPlacer here on our campus, and we are working to, in the spring, have them virtually as well. So you can also test out of those learning support classes, because we really want students to be as prepared for college as possible. So even if you haven't taken a national test, you can still test with just the College of Coastal Georgia to see where you would place in English and math, just depending on what you're coming in with as far as your academic GPA.
Perfect. Well, we are almost at time here. So if any students or parents who are in attendance have any questions, feel free to pop those into that chat box so we can get back to you either during the session or afterwards. Otherwise, all of our contact information is below. We would love to hear from you. We'd love for you to come visit, and we can't wait to read your applications. So thank you so much for joining us.
Sorry, I had myself muted. Thanks again for joining us, and thank you to the panelists for all that great information. When you close out of this window, you will receive a link for a very short 4-question survey. We appreciate any feedback that you can give us on our programming. You can view a full schedule of additional sessions at CACRAO.org. That's CACRAO.org. And recording of this session will be made available for viewing on demand on that same website at CACRAO.org. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day.